Hey everyone, I just wanted to share with everyone my view right now because it's so incredibly beautiful. I'm so blown away. I don't know how well you can see it, but the water is like turquoise blue. And I'm just so grateful right now to be on this beach line and drink in this beautiful, breathtaking moment. I just wanted to share with everyone that no matter how imprisoned you feel right now, it is possible to be able to free yourself from anything you may be facing, anything you're up against. No matter how much you've been institutionalized, no matter how oppressed you have been, no matter how trapped you feel, no matter how much you feel like the darkness is never gonna end, no matter how much you feel like no matter how hard you try, things don't change. It's really easy to feel that way when you go on a healing journey because it takes time and there's so many layers to it and it's so nuanced. Things gradually change in nuanced baby steps, and so it calls for us to be very, very patient with the process. I just wanted to share with everyone and my audience that I have experienced a lot of anger and frustration on my healing journey because I've literally been working my way up from the very bottom in terms of, I want to call it my spiritual privilege. So I'm speaking in terms of a vibrational frequency. I've had to overcome so many barriers, so many core beliefs and patterns of thinking that kept me continuing to line up with certain experiences over and over and over again. And everybody goes through this, but there are people that go through it to a more severe degree than others based upon the level of toxicity they're born into and based upon the level of God energy they embody. Because when you're born onto this planet, you're born into a narcissistic pandemic. And so the more God energy you're embodying when you're born, and the more God energy you move through the world with, the more the narcissistic adults and people in the society and your community around you will not embrace you for your God energy or the way you speak truth. Because children who have who embody high levels of God energy are truth speakers. They speak the truth and they confront their caretakers with the truth. And so the more you do that as a child, the more abuse you will be faced with, depending on the level of narcissism that is present in the patterns of behavior in your parent/caretakers. And so I was very outspoken in my childhood. I had a strong moral compass in my childhood. I've always had a sense of right and wrong since I was a child, and because of that, the people around me were confronted with their ethics and their morals constantly, and what they were doing that wasn't right. And when you're dealing with a narcissistic mentality that is faced with a child confronting them constantly with truth and morality and ethics, they will go to extreme lengths to quiet you and shut you up and abuse you and distort your perception of yourself and distort your perception of reality. So because of this, I have had to overcome so many deep-seated levels and layers of bullshit that I was programmed to believe about myself, to believe not only about myself but the world. And so I'm coming from the bottom of the barrel when it comes to rising out of a lower vibrational frequency. Because of this, I have experienced a lot of oppression on a microcosmic level. So in my interpersonal relationships with the people that were in direct connection with me in my life, and also on a systematic and institutional level. I have been institutionalized in many different ways and experienced many different forms of institutional oppression that was inflicted upon me based upon many different factors. And so I've had a lot more than the average person that I had to rise out of as an individual. And for the most part, I had to do it on my own. So I just want to give my YouTube channel an update that I have pulled back from my YouTube channel because I was experiencing a pattern of behavior and a manifestation coming from the people in my external reality that kept repeating, that I needed to take some time to step back and do some healing work around it. And I am still in that process because it is an extreme form of sociopathic, narcissistic abuse that is inflicted upon truth speakers, activists, people that have strong ethics and morals, because the mass majority of people in this society do not want these kind of people to thrive, because a narcissistic pandemic thrives when the truth is hidden, when the truth is covered up. And so truth speakers and people who embody God energy, and when I say God energy, I mean people who understand that they are creators, people who are empowered to change their life circumstances and self-love and set boundaries and live for the greater and highest good of themselves and everyone around them. Narcissistic, psychopathic, and sociopathic people don't want those people to win, right? So I'm sorry, give me just a second. I've been distracted by somebody on the beach line. When you are in a sea of people that don't want the light to prevail, which is what a person will grow within themselves as they go on a self-love, healing, and transformational journey. I'm getting out of breath because I have a backpack on. I need to set it down. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, back to what I was saying is, and I hope you guys can hear me. Sorry about the waves, if the sound of the waves are kind of distorting what I'm saying. When you are embodying that God energy, i.e. that creative energy, that empowered flow state where you know you can overcome anything and you can overcome the darkness in people, because they've chosen darkness, will try to stop you. So it's really, really important that you know that it's possible to prevail and overcome in any situation, and no matter how long and hard the journey, because in the end, you can vibrationally line up with what you want, but it takes a lot of patience. And I know it's really frustrating and angering to hear this, but unfortunately, it's the reality that we live in. And I remember when I was bedbound, visualizing myself being at the beach. That was one of my goals that I wanted to achieve years and years and years ago. And I'm getting emotional about it because I'm here now, and a lot of people that live near the beach or on the beach, it's not as big of a deal to them because it's something that they experience in their everyday life and reality. It's kind of overrated to them. And for me, this is such a new experience and healing experience, because it's not something that was overrated and something that I have been exposed to regularly. I was so overtaken with the beauty of the water that I wanted to share it with everyone who is suffering right now with mental, emotional, and physical illness. And have you know, no matter what you're facing, and one of the things that I faced due to my neuroimmune disease that was imprisoning me on such a severe level, I experienced momentary paralysis several times at the worst parts on my journey when I was going through my awakening, and I didn't understand what was going on and why I was so sick, and how unfair is this, because the doctors were telling me that what I was dealing with was was functioning and manifesting from my genetics, that there was nothing that I could do to change this, and I did not accept that as an answer. It felt wrong to me. It felt like the opposite of truth. It didn't sit right in my being, in my soul, in my body, in my emotional body, in my mental body. It didn't feel right. And so I was like, no, I don't accept this. I do not accept you telling me as a woman in my early 20s that this is my life for the rest of my life, to be confined most of my time to a bed and to have a life where I'm housebound, trapped, away from the rest of the world, living in isolation. No, I don't accept this. So what I want to encourage you to make a pact with yourself that you will not accept anything but what you desire for yourself in life. I want you to believe in the possibilities, and I want you to move into an energy of surrender versus acceptance, because when we accept something, we've been socialized to think it cannot change and that it can't transform, and that's a lie. Whatever you desire to experience on this planet is your birthright, and I don't care how woo-woo or naive or privileged that sounds. It is your birthright to experience the joy, the safety, the security, the peace, the absence of oppression that you desire to experience in life. I want everyone watching to live and do things on your terms, with integrity, within balance. I have left my channel for a while, as I said, because I do not do things the conventional way, and I listen to my spirit team and the angels around me, and I do what they tell me to do. I don't do what society tells me to do, and that's how I win in life. This is how I heal. I don't go off of the traditions of my fathers, of my ancestors, unless they are healthy, balanced traditions that are for the greatest good of myself and everyone around me and the collective on this planet. I highly encourage you to step away from doing and being how everyone else around you thinks and wants you to be, and go in the direction of your own freedom, of what makes you happy, and stand up for yourself. You're gonna have to practice standing up for yourself a lot and trusting in your own inner knowing, because we're conditioned not to trust ourselves and trust in what's happening in our emotional body and what makes you feel balanced, what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel secure on this journey. Because narcissistic abuse functions to take away your pleasure, your safety, your peace of mind, your sense of security. It functions to exhaust you. It functions to make you feel completely powerless. It functions to make you believe that there isn't a way out, that there isn't going to be anyone there to catch you, to support you, to assist you on your journey. It functions to make you think the darkness is never going to end. On an institutional level, narcissistic, authoritarian, a narcissistic, authoritarian mentality functions to keep you controlled, institutionalized in many different ways, to keep you mentally ill, to get you to conform to the way of their organization, so that they can exploit you the way that they want you to be exploited. They don't want you to be free. They don't want to allow you to exercise your personal autonomy. For people who are in extremely disenfranchised positions, they want you to stay in that disenfranchised position so that they can benefit and profit off of you, your mental, emotional, and physical illness. Now, when you're working out, when you're coming up and out of these deep-seated experiences, and you keep experiencing them over and over again, it will feel like you want to give up. But if you keep addressing those subconscious core wounds, And you learn how to transmute the energy, and you learn how to shift that energy, starting with changing your thoughts and what's possible for you. And you stop telling yourself the same story, and you start to tell yourself a new one, and you're committed to that. Little by little, you'll start noticing shifts, and this will be the incentive for you to keep going, because we need incentive as human beings. We need to be able to start seeing noticeable differences in order to continue to press forward. So as you change your thoughts, as you change your core beliefs, as you sit in your emotionality and feel into your emotional body, when you feel safe and secure to do so, and you're sitting and processing the pain and feeling into the pain, and you do all these things little by little, layer by layer, you'll start noticing positive shifts in what physically shows up in your outer world. You'll start noticing little differences. And this work is not for people who want instant gratification. This is for people who want thorough, lifelong, transformational, full circle shifts in their life. This takes effort, this takes persistence, this takes diligence. And I just wanted to check in with you guys and let you know that because I'm committed to that work and my self-love journey and maintaining my purity of heart, I've stepped back from continuing to film on my channel because I was called to address some deep subconscious wounds that had come to the surface and take care of me before taking care of anyone else. It's really important that we come into balance and know when it's appropriate to take care of ourselves and when it's appropriate to put forth energy into others. It's an art form, it's a healing, it's something we have to learn so that we can heal. And so I've been taking time for myself to address things that need to be addressed within me so that I can fully show up in the world in a more expansive way, so that I can be a successful YouTuber, so that I don't keep having these hindrances come up in my reality, and I don't keep aligning with people who are trying to sabotage me and stop me as a truth speaker. What a lot of people don't know about me, because I don't share my personal business with the public most of the time, is that I have had many people try to stop me. And so what you're seeing when I get on my YouTube channel and then I'm gone for long periods of time, and then I get back on, and then I'm gone again for months, you're seeing the manifestation of networks of people coming up against me and my light and my ability to speak truth to power. This is really important if you want to heal and you want to come into balance and you want to develop deep levels of dignity and self-respect, is to be able to speak truth to power, especially when you feel like you are in a position of powerlessness, when you are under a dictatorial thumb on an institutional level, and you are powerless, you feel powerless to get out of the systems of oppression that people are faced with. All systems of oppression are a manifestation stemming from narcissism. Any system of oppression you see manifesting in our society is a manifestation of narcissistic abuse. Systems of oppression cannot exist without narcissistic, psychopathic, and sociopathic patterns of behavior. I'm here to testify to you as someone who has been wrongfully institutionalized, not in a prison or jail system, but in other institutions in our nation. Someone who has wrongfully been imprisoned under an unrighteous authoritarian thumb. I'm here to testify to you that it is possible, no matter what you're facing, to develop strength and resiliency so that you can experience different for yourself in life over time. And for those of you who are experiencing extreme systems of oppression, who are on the receiving end of extreme systems of oppression and are exhausted and tired of going without and tired of not being heard and acknowledged and supported, I hope that my light touches you today and that you know and can feel and sense there is a way out. Even if at times you feel like there is no God, there is no way, this is so unfair, and I hate this world and I hate the people in it. You have every right to feel that way, for those of you who understand the levels of oppression that I'm talking about. So, this is what I have to share with everyone today, and I hope the sound of the waves in my voice is able to give you some sense of clarity and tranquility, and know that you can create that tranquility in your life step by step, little by little. And when I am ready and guided, I will continue to release videos for you guys, but I have to put myself and my well-being first, and I encourage you to do the